The Buffalo Bills are coming off an incredibly disappointing loss to the Houston Texans on Thursday, with Josh Allen and company struggling to get anything going offensively, resulting in a loss for the second time in 3 games against what was thought to be an inferior opponent. In Week 13, the Bills will have an opportunity to bounce back and improve their record to 8-4. However, it won't be easy, as they'll have to contend with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a stout defense led by superstar pass rusher T.J. Watt and a formidable offense with future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers under center. Aaron Rodgers expected to play against Bills. The biggest question mark heading toward this showdown between AFC heavyweights has been the status of Rodgers, who sat out Week 12's matchup against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field in the Windy City due to a left wrist injury. Mason Rudolph was under center against the Bears, where the Steelers fell short on the road, 31-28. After the game, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin spoke to the media in his post-game press conference and was asked about Rodgers' status moving forward. "I anticipate him being ready for next week," Tomlin said of Rodgers' status for Week 13. "It was the prudent decision to make. Certainly, it wasn't a fluid week for him. It was a fluid week for Mason in terms of reps and so forth, and so I think it will be in our rear view as we move forward. I'm hopeful of that. Obviously, the Steelers are a better football team with a 4-time NFL MVP under center, so they'll likely do everything within their power to get him back healthy sooner rather than later." With the Baltimore Ravens creeping up the AFC North standings and now having an identical 6-5 record compared to the Steelers after beating the New York Jets in Week 12, Pittsburgh has no margin for error, so a lot will be riding on Rodgers' status heading into Week 13. Bills can't afford to drop games moving forward. The Bills have been pretty streaky as of late, with the team going from beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 9 to losing to the division rival Miami Dolphins a week later. The same thing happened after that, with Allen and company putting 44 points up against Baker Mayfield's Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then coming back down to earth in Week 12, losing to the Houston Texans. Buffalo has been anything but consistent this season, despite sporting a 7-4 record after 11 games played. It's a concern that will likely continue to haunt the Bills moving forward. The last thing the team wants is not to be firing on all cylinders heading into the NFL playoffs, especially with the New England Patriots looking like a juggernaut at 10-2 and well on their way to winning the AFC East Division title, having won 9 straight games. It'll be interesting to see if Allen can rally this squad in the final stretch of the season and get back to form as one of the most dominant teams in the league. In a world where Aaron Rodgers still isn't ready to play in Week 13 against the Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers should seriously consider starting their 3rd different quarterback this season. Mason Rudolph wasn't downright awful in the Steelers' 31-28 loss to the Chicago Bears in Week 12, as he completed 24 of his 31 passes for 171 yards, but he threw for just 1 touchdown while turning the ball over twice and not executing during the most crucial moments of the contest. With rookie Will Howard on the bench and raring to go for any opportunity he may receive after being activated off the reserve/injured list 2 weeks ago, Pittsburgh should hand over the reins to him if Rodgers doesn't take the field versus Buffalo. Rudolph's day got off to an inauspicious start, as his first throw was picked off by Nahshon Wright while he was targeting DK Metcalf deep down the sideline. Chicago went on to convert that turnover into a touchdown on the other end, giving it an early 7-0 lead. The 30-year-old signal caller orchestrated 2 touchdown-scoring drives later in the first half, though he was strip-sacked late in the 3rd quarter, while the Steelers trailed 24-21. The Bears recovered it and subsequently scored yet another touchdown on offense, making it 31-21. Pittsburgh got the ball back down 31-28 at its own 20-yard line with no timeouts and 1:29 left in the 4th quarter. Rudolph started off by finding Pat Freiermuth for a 14-yard gain before connecting with DK Metcalf and Kenneth Gainwell for a combined 15 yards on the following 2 plays, which brought the Steelers to midfield, but 2 of his final 3 throws fell incomplete as Chicago clinched its victory with a defensive stand. Head coach Mike Tomlin told reporters after the game that he expects Rodgers to be ready to go against the Bills at Acrisure Stadium. If those plans don't come to fruition and the 41-year-old is held out for another game in anticipation of a crucial Week 14 showdown with the Baltimore Ravens, however, Howard should get the start over Rudolph. There are certainly arguments to be made in favor of Rudolph, as he started just under 20 games throughout his NFL career and thus is more experienced than Howard, but the latter could bring the kind of spark that the Steelers desperately need. Howard turned some heads with a standout performance during rookie minicamp before heating up as training camp went on. His hand injury, which occurred on a center exchange, did halt his momentum and keep him out for the entire preseason before landing him on IR, but he's now had a few weeks to get back into the swing of things on the 53-man roster. The 24-year-old has plenty of pedigree, evidenced by the fact that he helped lead Ohio State to a national title last year, and he's got a strong arm while also bringing good mobility to the table, which Rodgers and Rudolph both don't have. Though it would be a bit of a risk to throw out a rookie quarterback out on the field for his debut against one of the best teams in the AFC in the Bills, it's the type of move that Pittsburgh should be comfortable making if it wants to turn its fortunes around and find a temporary solution, should Rodgers not suit up. The Chicago Bears and Pittsburgh Steelers have been engaged in a back-and-forth battle. But with a big play on fourth down, the Steelers got to poke some fun at Bears head coach Ben Johnson. Well, it was more Eagles fans who got the last laugh. Johnson famously noted his distaste for the tush-push, calling it an unexplosive play. The Steelers proved that take wrong as Kenneth Gainwell broke off a big gain to the 1-yard line. Jimmy Kempski of the Philly Voice used it as an opportunity to take a shot at Johnson. The Steelers would score one play later on a Jaylen Warren rush, taking a 21-14 lead at the time. However, it has been all Bears since, as Chicago holds a 31-21 lead with under 10 minutes remaining in the game. Pittsburgh's run game hasn't really been the issue. They've run for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 5.9 yards per carry. However, the same can't be said for quarterback Mason Rudolph. He has completed 15 of 18 passes for 115 yards and an interception. He also lost a fumble that turned into a scoring drive for the Bears. Rudolph was thrown into the spotlight based on the wrist injury to Aaron Rodgers. He pushed a play but was unable to go. The Steelers were expected a bit more from their backup and are hopeful he can turn things around down the stretch. As for Johnson, he'll take on any jokes if it leads to a win. Who knows, maybe he'll add it to his arsenal. Johnson and the Bears will have an opportunity to send a direct shot to the Eagles in Week 13.